I got a 40% raise at my 9 to 5 by building these 8 AI and automation solutions. Sounds like a lie, right? But when you consider that these systems save over 1,500 hours per year, cut costs by thousands, and have added more than $400,000 in revenue to the business, you realize that that 40% raise is kind of a drop in the bucket. In this video, I'm going to show you what each solution does, the problem that it solved, and how you can build the same systems for your own 9 to 5 or your own business. If you like videos about making more money with AI and automations, hit the like button and subscribe. And stick around to see how you can start learning these skills too. Let's dive in. So I'm technically the marketing coordinator at my job, and one of the main reasons that my boss hired me is because I've run a business before. And so he was hoping that I could do more than just marketing. And when I got hired, he kept mentioning how great ChatGPT was. And I embarrassingly had never really used it other than like as a replacement for Google. But after he mentioned it a couple times, and I realized, okay, this is a priority for him. And so I started to learn more about it. Learning ChatGPT led me to finding AI Foundations, which is the community that I've learned all of these skills in, which you can click the link down in the description to check it out. And that led me to learning AI and automations, and the rest is kind of history. So I initially started making all these tools so that I could make my job easier, but I ended up impressing my boss and getting a raise. Several raises, in fact. And now I work 4 8-hour days per week instead of 5. Okay, so let's go through the 8 solutions that I built and stick around because the juiciest one is toward the end. Okay, the first tool that I want to share is actually just a custom GPT. AI solutions for a business, whether it's your business or a business that you're building something for. It doesn't always need to be, some fancy agent or some crazy automation with like 500 nodes in N8N. It could literally be as something as basic as a custom GPT. So what the process looked like before I built this is a monthly process. It would take 3 hours to pull all the reports and then to go through and kind of manually check each customer against the marketing spend for that month. So basically, the purpose of this tool is to consume the reports for each month. And then it looks at the customers that we won. So who became a paying customer from all the leads that we brought in. It looks at QuickBooks to see, to verify that they were a customer and how much they paid. And then it compares how much we spent in marketing to acquire each customer. And then it generates like a bunch of different metrics from that. So let me kind of show you what that looks like. So basically, I just upload the reports that are needed, and then I just copy and paste these steps, which are actually just pulled from its custom instructions. And I'll share what that looks like in just a second. But I just copy and paste this every month, so I don't have to, think or do anything differently. But I just walk it through and I tell it, you're going to do step 1, 2, 3, and so on. So the first thing is it's going to clean and format the data. It goes through and it kind of just gives me a narrative on what it's doing. And then it provides like the cleaned marketing spend, the lead sources with revenue, marketing performance analysis, and so on. Then I walk it through each step and it just, sometimes it'll ask a question or make a statement and then I'll respond to it and then just keep walking through each step listed in its custom instructions. At the end, it validates its own output. So it's double checking its work. And I've actually tested this with GPT 03 and 04. And 4.0 actually works the best. So it provides me with like a final CSV file that I can download. And it also provides me with key insights. So referrals were an amazing source of revenue for us. So it just kind of breaks everything down for me. And then I even told it, well done, you performed better than GPT 03 and 04. But that whole process maybe takes me about 10 to 15 minutes now versus like 3 hours, or when my boss was doing it, it would take him even longer. So 3 hours saved every month and less manual work, which means whenever there's, human manipulation involved, there's a lot of room for error. And so it just cuts down on that error. And like I have spot checked this, and like the first few months that I was running it, I was going through and like checking it with a fine tooth comb to make sure that it was accurate. And it was 100% accurate. And so that accuracy compared to, I would say maybe 85% accuracy, because you'll miss things or just things get misattributed. It's just like a massive difference. And our marketing budget, is $160,000. And so when you're making decisions based on, what lead sources are performing the best, where should we allocate more money? Where should we take money away from? You want your data to be as accurate as possible. So the impact of building this was 36 hours saved per year and just better decision making, like I said, on that budget of $160,000. Okay, and then this is just kind of the inside scoop on what the custom instructions look like. So obviously ChatGPT helped me write this. And I'm not gonna lie, it did take some trial and error and like having to go back in and, make changes to the custom instructions, provide examples, really spell things out for the GPT so that there was no room for error and it was not going to try to interpret things and get them wrong. So 3 to 4 hours invested now saves me 3 hours every month and gives us that perfect accuracy. So partner with ChatGPT, really break down what your use case is, explain the context. And I have found that using GPT 4.5 is actually really effective at crafting powerful custom instructions for like a custom GPT or an AI agent in N8N. So really spell out what your use case is. So what's the input going to look like? What's the goal? What's the output need to look like? What kind of nuances are involved? How frequently is this going to be run? Like give it enough context so that it fully understands and can write a custom instruction that is going to really achieve what you need it to. So obviously this was just part of my 9 to 5, but if I was selling a solution like this to a business, I would say, okay, so 3 hours saved every month for 12 months. So 36 hours saved. Let's say you're paying, like, let's say this is the business owner doing this, right? Like I work with small businesses a lot. So let's just say conservatively that their time is worth $50 per hour. So that's $1,800. But now let's add to it that you get 100% accuracy on your marketing attribution. So you know for a fact, like if you spend $2,000 on Google Ads, let's say, you know that all of the leads that come from Google Ads, that those are being attributed 100% correct every time. And so when you look at, okay, I spent this much on this marketing channel, this much on this marketing channel, and this one had this ROI and this one had that ROI, like you can make a decision that's actually going to be beneficial to your business. And you're not going to be making decisions based on faulty data. And so the peace of mind of knowing that you're making good decisions for your business based on 100% accurate fact, that goes way beyond $1,800. So if I was selling this to a small business, I would say maybe conservatively like $3,000, because I really like I have to build it one time, but the impact that they're going to get forever, including the time saved, making better decisions that are actually going to be based on data and not guesswork. And the fact that now the owner is freed up to do actual revenue generating activities, like that's a big thing. So he's not being bogged down by admin work or paperwork. It has a compounding effect. And so I would say, yeah, I think $3,000 is a totally reasonable price for something like this. So these tools are going to get progressively more and more juicy as we go with a bigger impact on the business. So stick around. But the next tool I created is a simple before and after post creator. So creating before and after posts, basically it's very self-explanatory, but there's the before picture of the work we did and the after picture. So it's just comparing how bad it was before and then how great it is after we did the work. So we use these for social media, but we also post them to our website. And that's good for, SEO, for social proof, just general marketing. I would have to create like a written narrative of the work that we did, the benefits that it's going to give to the homeowner, etc. But it was just so time consuming and tedious, and I dreaded doing it every day. And so what I did was I built this custom GPT now that does it for me. And so this is all the information I have to provide it. The name of the homeowner, the city they live in, the service or services provided, and then the amount and type of installation. Like I work for an installation company, but basically it takes that information and then it builds the narrative around that information. But all I do is input that info, and then it creates this whole before and after post, which is the narrative that I used to write. It creates 3 unique headlines, and then it has a meta description. So all the stuff that I need to go to WordPress and create a post for the before and after, it does in, 10 seconds, 15 seconds versus 15 minutes, which is what it used to take me. And so if I come in here to the custom instructions, I give it a little bit of context about our business. I give it the 3 tasks that it's going to execute, and then I give it its instructions. So an important note about the headline, post, and meta description. I give it instructions on how to customize it, the input that it's going to receive, and then I provide example posts. So multiple example posts are really helpful. And then I give it some example headlines and meta descriptions. But providing examples is super helpful, especially if you're having a GPT write for you. The reason being, it's going to give it that little bit of personality that sounds like you versus like AI. And we're going to talk more about how to get around that in just a moment because I'm going to show you the next tool that I built. But this is just an absolute lifesaver for me. It's so nice to be able to just knock through, all the posts for a week in like an hour's time. So if this took like between 45 minutes to an hour every day for me, and now it takes 10 minutes, well, just say conservatively, it saves about 40 minutes a day, 5 days a week. So that's 200 minutes a week times 52 weeks. So that's like 173 hours. Now, let's say that you just had some intern type person doing this. So conservatively, an intern being paid $20 an hour, you would still be paying that intern $3,500 a year just for this one task. So if I were selling this to a real business and this was a real pain point for them, you could easily sell this to a business for $4,000 because not only is it going to save that amount of time year over year, but you can have anyone do it. So you don't need to train that person and teach them how to write and teach them how to make a headline. You can bring in literally anyone. You could delegate this to someone else on your team or just do it yourself. It takes 10 minutes. But the point is you don't need to have like a designated trained person to do it. You could outsource this to a virtual assistant in the Philippines for $3 an hour, which brings me to our next tool. So another pain in the butt thing that I used to have to do was write blog posts. So to research, write the post, find an image, and then actually post it, it would take probably 2 hours every week. So right off the bat, like let's look at the math. 2 hours a week times 52 weeks. So that's like 100 and let's just call it 100 hours. Again, if you're just paying some intern to do this, although you wouldn't have really great writing quality, that would be roughly $2,000 a year. Okay, so I'm just going to give it bare minimum guidance. Write a blog post about why air sealing is crucial to temperature comfort in the home, especially during summer. Okay, and that took maybe 10, 15 seconds. So it created the blog post, created the meta description, it created some image suggestions, and it's actually going to create me an image. We'll see what it comes up with. Okay, so while that image is cooking up, I have this prompt waiting. Please provide links to sources that I can cite in the article. What I want to do is, so this post looks great. It's formatted well, but is it going to sound like AI? Because I know that's what you're all thinking. So let's take it over to the AI detector and we'll just paste this in here and hit scan. Okay. So we are highly confident this text is entirely human. Okay. If you want to know how to achieve that, like let's go back over to the GPT. So I'm going to send off that prompt. Please provide links and we'll wait for it to respond. Okay, perfect. So now I can just grab those links, add them into my article. And these are all credible, reputable sources. So the amount of time that it saves me is just massive. But what I want to show you is the custom instructions and how you can get your GPT to not sound like AI. Okay, so it talks about style and tone. It talks about like values, content style, analogies and metaphors, storytelling, different kinds of frameworks, bullet points, different phrases that the business owner uses frequently. So literal things that he says when he's talking, how I start off conversations, how I end conversations, how to speak and teach like me. So basically you have to specify, it's not just, hey, write a blog post. You need to build it into the custom instructions. And so you're going to actually need some written samples from the business owner or for, whatever voice and tone and style that you're trying to emulate. You need to get that, right? Run it through ChatGPT and have it list out, describe the content style of these writing samples, describe the phrases often used in these writing samples. How do the conversations usually start in these writing samples, so on and so forth. But that's how you can get your GPT to actually speak or write like the human that you're trying to sound like. So what I would do is I would create this. I would do this demo for the business owner or for the person that I'm trying to sell this to and say, this is how you can create something that sounds like you, that's not detectable as AI because it sounds like you, like it's literally drawing from your own speaking and writing. And so you can create a blog post now in 5 minutes. But for businesses that are blog post heavy, I mean, this is just a massive time saver. Like, we write 1 blog post a week, but if we were writing 3 blog posts a week, now all of a sudden that's 300 hours saved. So 300 hours saved, let's say $20 an hour, 6 grand. This could replace an entire team of copywriters. So, what I would say is the bigger the pain point it is for the business, the more it's worth. Like, the more it's intrinsically worth, you know? If you can get rid of a $6,000 a month copywriter or copywriting team and replace it with a GPT that anyone can use, now all of a sudden you're saving $6,000 a month and this GPT becomes very valuable. And we're not even talking about how you could connect this to automations and have it be posting blog articles on your behalf. So the sky is the limit, is what I'm saying. Okay, if you're finding value from this so far, feel free to hit the like button, subscribe, and let's move out of custom GPTs and into some automation. Okay, so this is the first tool that I built that's in this series here that involves an automation. So some of the automations that I built for my 9 to 5 are use Go High Level. A lot of them use N8N, but especially early on, before I really knew how to automate things and I didn't know about N8N, like it wasn't even on my radar, I used Go High Level. But that doesn't mean that you can't rebuild these automations, that some of them that I'm going to show you from Go High Level, you can't rebuild them on platforms like N8N. And in fact, the next video that I'm putting out this week, we're going to do just that. Okay, so this lead magnet workflow, basically this is linked on our social media, so Facebook and Instagram. And basically it's just your typical funnel. You know, people watch the video, they want the lead magnet, they enter their info, then they're entered into a series of automations where they're going to receive SMS messages, emails, and we're trying to push them to book an estimate. So book an appointment, right? And so some of these are pretty involved, but I'm just going to show you like the main email and SMS sequence. And it's nothing fancy, but basically when people opt in to the lead magnet, they get tagged as like a lead magnet lead. It's going to wait 2 minutes. So it's not bombarding them the moment that they submit their information. Then it's going to send them an SMS. It's going to send them an email. It's going to wait a day, send another email, wait a day, send another email, so on and so forth. And so this is part of a 10-day sequence. And then a final SMS message to say, hey, hope you got value out of this. Here's the link to book an appointment with us. So if they never respond and they never take action and don't book any estimate, after a couple days, we just move them into the long-term lead nurture stage. And so basically they'll get like an email every week just so that we stay top of mind with them. And then if they do click on the link and end up booking an estimate or booking an appointment, then they're going to just get tagged differently and move to a different stage, whether it's, you know, the booked estimate pipeline or end up in the long-term lead nurture stage. You can build the same functionality out using N8N and it will be cheaper, and that means more money for you. But before I built all this out, I mean, we would get sporadic leads from social media and they would DM us, and then it was just like a back and forth. There wasn't a way where we can capture them, get them on an email list, get their phone number and be texting them. And so, you know, who knows how many leads that we were missing out on because of that. But I was just looking at these numbers the other day, and since we rolled this out about 7 months ago, it was at the beginning of December, we've gotten 51 leads through this, and we've closed 9 jobs for $51,000 in revenue, which is fantastic. So $51,000 in revenue is a very straightforward number, like in terms of if you were going to sell a solution like this to a business. But when you consider how long it would take to be following up with people every day via email and send them text messages and to manage it and do it all on a schedule and never forget, that's probably about 10 hours of follow-up for each lead. Times 51 leads, that's about 500 hours a year. So you can see how valuable something like this would be. Like, not only does it generate revenue, but if you tried to do the same revenue generation with a human, it would cost you $10,000. So I'm not saying I would necessarily sell this automation and Go High Level for $10,000, but if you can demonstrate that it generates results like that, and you can be like, hey, I've helped 5 other clients and these are the results that they've gotten, and show hard statistics, like this is probably what you can expect, then you'll have a case for charging several $1,000s for something like this. Okay, the next tool I want to share is relates to Angie Leads. Anybody who has ever worked in home services knows what a pain in the butt Angie Leads are. You might also hear them called like Home Advisor. But basically, the way that this platform works is a lead submits a request for a service and it goes to you and all of your competitors. And whoever responds to them first probably is going to get that business. So obviously, responding to them first is the name of the game. Otherwise, you're literally paying for lead that you could just flush that money down the toilet. So we had an outsourced call center that, well, we're actually in the process of getting rid of them. Hopefully they don't see this video, but they would take like 4 hours to contact these leads, like 4 hours. So in that 4 hours, oftentimes they would never even respond to us because they've already gotten an estimate from someone else and they don't need us to come out anymore. And we literally paid for a lead only to lose that business to a competitor. So I built a simple automation and all it does is whenever this is connected to the Angie platform, but whenever a new Angie lead comes in, it's going to create a contact in Go High Level. And then that is going to actually kick off a number of different automations as well. So within Go High Level, whenever sometimes they come through in the JSON payload as Home Advisor, and sometimes they come through as Angie Lead. So whenever either of those come through, number one, an internal notification gets sent out so that everybody can see, hey, this new lead just came in. Somebody needs to call them ASAP. But then that person, the lead, is going to receive a text message and an email immediately. It's going to wait an hour. If they reply, then great. That means that they've contacted us back to say, yeah, this day and this time works great for me for an appointment. And if they don't respond, they're going to get another email and text message. Then it's going to wait a day. It's going to send another internal notification if they respond at this point. But basically, it's going to continue to follow up with them. And honestly, I mean, by this point, we've generally gotten in contact with that lead and booked the appointment. So we don't really need to go out any further than this. But hypothetically, I could keep extending this out, days, weeks, months, whatever, forever. But this automation alone took us from a 22% lead to estimate conversion rate, meaning like only 22% of leads were turning into booked appointments. Took it from 22% to 64%. Massive jump. And so what I calculated was that's like 260 hours saved from having to follow up with them and so on and so forth. So 260 hours, times $20 an hour is like $5,000 per year. But it doesn't stop there. Because we increased our lead to appointment conversion rate, meaning more of the leads that were coming in from Angie became booked appointments. We basically tripled that number. We were able to generate $178,000 additional in revenue. And actually what my next step is for this is going to build an outbound AI voice agent that immediately calls these leads so that they're not just getting a text and an email, but also an immediate phone call. And then I can do that same kind of thing where it's on a cadence, day one, they get 2 phone calls, day 2, they get 2 phone calls, so on and so forth. And then it can taper off after 3 days. But something like this, where it's tripled the rate of people who book an appointment, this could easily be a $10,000 product. Like easily, because not only is it saving that $5,000 a year in labor, but it's generating an additional $178,000 in revenue. Okay, let's jump into the next automation. So this is to follow up with happy customers after we've completed the work at their home. And basically we're just saying, hey, would you be willing to do a video testimonial for us? Like we'll come out to your house. It'll be very chill. It will take 5 to 10 minutes and we'll record it just, using an iPhone. And then we'll give you $50 as a thank you. So video testimonials are super important. We can use those to help potential customers see like what a great business we are, how fantastic we are to work with, how great our guys are, etc. If you're not using video testimonials in your business, especially if you're a service-based business, I highly recommend it. Like it's going to be life-changing if done right. But this one is very simple. And actually, I'm going to be showing you how to build a version of this in N8N in my next video that is way cooler, way more powerful, and involves an AI agent that does all your booking for you. So if somebody responds and they're like, oh yeah, I'm available this day, your agent will automatically book that date for you and notify you. So if you haven't already liked and subscribed, do that. But let's talk about this automation that I built. So before I built this, it would take me like at least 2 hours a week to contact every single customer, like call them, follow up with them via text, send them emails. And so I built this, which is triggered when a job is marked as complete. So it's going to add a tag that says that they received the video testimonial request. It's going to wait a couple days so they're not, getting bombarded the minute the job is marked as complete. And then they're just going to get an SMS and an email that says, "Hey, would you be willing to do a video testimonial? We'll give you $50." If they reply, right now it's just an internal notification because most of the time it's, "Yeah, sure, I'm available these times and these days." And then I just coordinate it on my calendar. But after 4 days, if they don't respond, then they get another SMS and email. Then it's going to wait another 4 days and send them one final SMS and email. And then it's going to wait forever, which is really like 999 days. So if they ever change their mind, then I'll receive an internal notification and then I can, book the video testimonial with them. But this is all on autopilot. So instead of me having to remember who I've contacted, when I last contacted them, if they told me to follow up on a certain date, it's all totally automated now. And like I said, we're going to be building this in N8N, but with more functionality. So it's even more valuable to a business. So definitely stay tuned for that. But in terms of the impact that this has had on the business, it's increased the response and like people saying yes to doing a video testimonial, it's increased at 54%. And so that gives us 20 video testimonials per year instead of like 13. So it saves about 104 hours every year at $20 an hour. That's like $2,000. And so I asked my boss to estimate like what kind of material impact, what kind of financial impact do you think that this has had? And he said, if he had to guess, probably about $40,000 in additional revenue per year, just based on how it increases our close rate. So $2,000 in saved labor plus $40,000. So that's like 42 grand. That's pretty good. I would probably sell this to a business for at least a couple grand. It's definitely a huge time saver. It's harder to track the revenue directly because it is just kind of a bump in the close rate. So unless you have really strong before and after metrics, it might be harder to measure this, but this is easily a couple $1,000 automation. All right, we are moving into the final three, the juiciest ones. So hit the like button, subscribe if you haven't, and let's dive into the voice agent. All right, so like I said, we're in the process of getting rid of our outsourced call center right now. And I can tell you right now that they charge us $1,600 a month. So every year we're paying them about $19,000. And my first voice agent that I actually built for another client, which was a family farm, super random, but they wanted basically someone to answer the phones for them because they had all these different revenue streams and like lead sources. And so they were expecting to be really busy, especially with a particular award that they were trying to achieve. And so they were just anticipating an influx of inbound phone calls. Anyway, but so that's kind of how I learned how to build a voice agent. Then I decided to build one for my 9 to 5 because my boss and my sales manager always complaining about the office did this, the office didn't do that. Like they entered the wrong address. And so the sales manager went to the wrong house for his appointment, or they didn't know the answer to a basic question. Like, do you service this city? They didn't know the answer. And so my sales manager would just complain about them all the time. And so I always tell people, like, especially if you are a consultant or a freelancer looking to work with businesses and solve problems for them and get paid, listen to what they complain about, especially the stuff that you hear over and over again, because that's going to tell you where the most annoying problems are that you get to solve. And so I only had to hear him complain about it a few times before I was like, hey, I should build a voice agent for my 9 to 5. But we're getting ready next week to deploy it into production. So it will be out of testing and all of the actual calls from humans from our leads will be going to our voice agent, which is super cool. So let's say each call is about 50 cents, which is on the higher end of what's standard for us. But let's say we receive 15 calls a day, which we're in July, so it's our busiest time of year. We live in a desert. It's super hot, and so people are trying to cool down their houses. But it's about $750 per day times 30 days. So $225. I pay I don't know, $25 a month for N8N. So that's $250 for Pamela, our voice agent. So if it's $19,200 per year for our call center and $250 a month times 12 months, so $3,000 for the AI voice agent, that is $16,000 of savings. So you could build this out as like a one and done thing. So I'm charging you this flat rate of X amount of dollars upfront for the build. And then if you want maintenance on it, which they definitely do, that it's going to be, $500 a month retainer or, $700 a month retainer, something like that, so that I can constantly be improving it. I can monitor it for errors. All the stuff that would go into maintaining an AI voice agent. But this could easily be, I don't know, $5,000 for this. And a business was paying an employee or a call center $1,600 a month. They would see ROI in just over 3 months. And then at that point, if they were paying you $500 a month for a retainer for maintenance and improvements and that kind of a thing, they're still ahead. Like, they're still paying way less than the $1,600 a month that they were paying for their outsourced call center. Not only that, but this works 24/7. Your voice agent is never going to call into work sick, is never going to forget to ask a question that needs to be asked, etc. Okay, we're moving back to go high level, and this is one of the juiciest automations that I have built for the business. This has saved us about 250 hours per year. This increased our close rate by 7%, which is massive. So this has helped generate over $190,000 in additional revenue each year. And just like the anecdotal feedback that I've gotten from both the business owner and our sales manager is that it makes jobs way easier to sell in the house. Like, they're closing right there on the spot. The sales manager said there was one job that was $20,000, which is our biggest job that we've ever sold. And he said that the guy said to him that it was literally the video that sold it for him. So it's an educational kind of video, maybe like 10 minutes long, doesn't need to be anything crazy or fancy. The video is just literally our business owner standing in front of a whiteboard and talking about how insulation works, how air sealing works, and the benefits and the problems that it solves in the home. It's literally educating the homeowner on exactly what's going on in their home and connecting the dots between the problems that they're experiencing and the solutions that we offer. It's not selling at all. It's just educating. But basically, as soon as the appointment gets booked, it updates the contact, and it's going to wait until an hour before their scheduled appointment. So you can see we have 5 people in there waiting, and then it's going to send them an SMS message and an email that has that educational video. And all it says is, hey, check this out before our visit. Is just going to help connect the dots between what you may be experiencing in your home and the solutions that we offer. And that's it. Just one simple video. And it sends to them via SMS and via email. And so there have been times where the lead will contact us because they want like a lower level service that's maybe a couple $1,000s. But they watch that video and then they understand the impact of getting that lower level service without the higher tier items. And they realize that it's actually going to be a disservice to them because of all the other problems that it might generate. And so again, that increases our average ticket, that increases our close rate, and it's completely hands off. Like, we don't have to touch this whatsoever. And I think this would be a great one to also recreate in N8N, because you can build this for a business as like your guinea pig, get results for them and have them test, like test the ones that 50% of their leads that don't receive the video, and then 50% of the leads that do receive the video. Run that test for a few months and then compare the numbers, like compare the average ticket and the close rate between those two groups. And then you can go out and use that as your case study to other businesses and be like, hey, I can implement something like this for you. And the estimated increase in your revenue is going to be this, or your average ticket is going to increase this much, or your close rate is going to increase this much. Like, that is just pure and simple more money for the business and not having to do any more work. So yeah, we'll do this video next week, how to recreate this workflow using N8N, Twilio, and Gmail. And then you can turn around and either implement this in your business if you're a business owner, or you can go, if you're a freelancer or consultant, you can build this for another business and sell this as a solution to them, or you can even implement this at your own 9 to 5. But one more thing that I want to add about this is that we actually were running a test with this. So we had 50% of our leads that were getting the pre-appointment email and SMS, and then we had 50% that were not getting it. And the business owner actually told me to stop running the test, like to cancel it early, because we were getting such good results that he didn't want to do the test anymore. Like, he already saw the results that we were getting, and he didn't want half of our leads to not be getting this pre-appointment video. So how you can start doing this for your own 9 to 5 or for your own business if you're a business owner. Number one is start tracking how you spend your time every day. And if you're a business owner, have your staff track their time every day as well. This is going to help you identify the areas where time is being wasted on manual, repetitive, tedious tasks. And look at your sales pipeline, because this is really the place where AI and automations can have the biggest impact on your revenue. For example, are you immediately responding to every lead? Is there a lead source that's a particular pain in the butt? Are you following up with leads regularly until they give you a definitive yes or no, leave me alone? Even if you're not dealing with leads, like you run an e-commerce store, do you have automation set up to offer additional products or promotions, follow up on abandoned carts, or even offer a referral bonus? If your close rate is low, consider adding a short, like 10-minute pre-appointment educational video. That's really going to help boost your close rate. If answering calls is a pain point, and you're missing out on revenue because you're not able to answer every single phone call, consider implementing an AI voice agent. Voice agents can also pre-qualify leads, so if you're taking sales calls, you can have an AI voice agent pre-qualify those leads so that you're not wasting time on unqualified people. If creating blog content is a pain in the butt for you, create a custom GPT where all you have to do is feed it a topic and it will come up with a completely SEO optimized blog post for you in seconds. And if you're creating content on social media and you want to turn your content into a lead generation machine, build a lead magnet, and be sure to check out my video on building a lead magnet and automating it, and watch those leads roll in. So the key takeaways from all these builds that I did for my 9-to-5. Number one, each of these solutions solved a clear pain point and had measurable data that we could track to see the improvement. And it's important to track that value so you can get a before and after, and then be able to go show that to your boss when you negotiate a raise. Or if you're a business owner, so you're able to make better data-driven decisions. Or if you're a freelancer or a consultant, so that you can demonstrate to the business owner that you fully achieved the value that you said you would bring to the table. You don't have to build all of these in one day to make a big impact. Even starting with one or two can transform your company and your role in it. And building these systems didn't just help my employer. Obviously, it helped me to earn a raise and work 4 days a week instead of 5, but it also helped me to build a portfolio so that when I did start working with clients, I had something to show them, something to demonstrate my skills and expertise. So if you want help identifying what you could automate at your own job, or even start building a portfolio like I did so that you can start taking on like freelance clients, drop a comment and I am happy to help. Maybe even create a video about it. Be sure to subscribe for more content on making money with AI and automations, and check the links if you want to join the AI Foundations community or work with me. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video.